Hi, welcome back to the Online Jewelry Academy. I'm John Ahr and I'm your instructor. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very simple project with a minimal amount of tools. This is called a turtle setting. It's a setting that has 4 prongs that can securely hold a cabochon stone. Cabochon is one that's flat on the bottom and curved on the top. Now, I know that if you're like me, you fall in love with gemstones and you collect them, and if you're a beginner, you're probably frustrated by the fact that you can't wear these. You want to have a wearable, but you just don't know how to make it. Well, I'm going to show you how to make something very simple, that's very simple and very effective and actually nice looking too. Today we're going to be using this stone, which is a piece of tiger's eye. It's a very inexpensive, semi-precious stone, and you can find these almost anywhere. Now, let me show you how the setting is made. The turtle setting that we're going to make literally looks like a turtle. So we have a body, and extending from that body, we have 2 back legs, 2 front legs, and of course your turtle has a head. Now we're going to drill a hole through the head so that we can put a bale through this hole to make it wearable on a chain or a leather thong. And if you wanted to, you can actually even cut out the center of the turtle's belly so that if the pendant flips over, the backside is just as beautiful as the front. You'd still get to see the stone. Okay? Let me show you how to make it. It's really easy. Now, I've gone ahead and prepped a little bit, and what I've done is I've put blue painter's tape over the top of a piece of copper. Now, I'm choosing copper because it's a good metal to practice with, and the color of the copper is going to complement the color of the stone as well. Now, before I go any further, let me remind you, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, you might want to stop here and go and watch the safety video. Now, for this particular project, you probably just want to put on your apron, and you may want to put on your safety glasses when you begin working with the tools. So I'm going to just set these down for now, and let me just show you how to lay out your pattern. Now, whenever I lay out a pattern, what I like to do is I like to give myself some guidelines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this machinist square to draw a vertical and a horizontal line on my piece of copper. So I'm just going to push this against the edge and swipe it with my pen. Now I like to use a black permanent marker. I like these because they don't rub off while I'm working with the material. And as you can see, it produces a high contrast drawing that I can follow a little bit easier. Some jewelers will scratch the details into the metal itself, but then it becomes a little bit hard to see. But this will also keep your piece of metal from getting scratches and other unnecessary little dings and things on it that you just have to buff out later. Okay, so once we've laid out the crosshairs basically, what I want to do is give myself 2 angles for the legs. So I'm just going to give myself kind of randomly an angle like this. Okay, a second. So there. Now we have the crosshatch or crosshairs and a couple of different angles that just kind of give me a sense of where I'm going. Now I can put my gemstone right on top of this, and I'll just center the gemstone right there, and then I can just take the pen and draw the outline of the stone. So that's going to become the backing plate, the area that's directly underneath the stone. Now all I have to do is just draw on the other extensions of the body. So I'll draw a little head, and I can draw the legs. Now, you can be really precise with this. You could use graph paper or some other type of measuring devices that would make this more perfect. Now, I've done that. So here's a more refined drawing where I've tried to keep the legs all uniform at the same angle and at the same length. Okay? So we're going to use a saw to cut this out. Now, when you're sawing, you may want to put on your safety glasses because saw blades could break or other debris could fly into your eyes, and these are going to protect you from anything flying into your eyes. All right, so let's get started. Now, the jeweler saw always has to sound like a little angel's heart ringing when you first start sawing. Otherwise, the blade is too loose and you're going to break the blade. So you can begin by just sawing towards the design. Now, if you're cutting something out for the first time, take my advice, cut to the outside of the line, because that way you can always file to the line or just past the line. If you've got some experience, go ahead and cut any way that you're comfortable. All right, so we're going to start by just making a little notch. Okay, now when you saw, be sure to keep your feet flat on the floor, keep your back straight, and keep the work on a flat surface that's supporting it at all times. You always want to try to saw away from yourself and try to use the whole length of the blade. You'll be more accurate and it will keep you from breaking blades. All right, so here we go. Now when you get to a little corner, the way you make a turn is stay in that corner, turn the saw, and when the saw is facing the right direction, continue moving forward. Okay, I've got the turtle fully cut out. And I can put my saw blade away. Now some of you guys are watching this and going, wow, he made that look really easy. Well, I've got a lot more experience than you do at this point. Just relax. With practice, you're going to be able to saw just as easily as I can do it. So what's great about this is I can now remove the painter's tape and I have a clean turtle to deal with. See how easy that is? All right, so now what I want to do is I want to drill a hole for the bale to pass through. Now, I may want to take a Sharpie pen and just mark where I want the center of the hole I drilled to be. That just gives me a guideline. Now, before you drill anything, what you want to do is you want to take out a hitting surface, like a bench block, and you may want to get out a center punch and a work hammer. Now, you never want to hit a tool with a polished hammer. You always want to hit it with a work hammer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place that center punch right where the center of the head is and just give this a tap. That's it. That's all you need. Now that little kernel will be a guideline for me to drill out the hole for the head. Now, whenever you drill into a scrap piece of wood. Don't drill into the top of your bench, and don't drill into your bench pin, even though I've done it a few times. What that's going to do is that would weaken the bench pin, and if you put any pressure on it later on, it could snap, and that could be a hazard to you. All right, so I'm going to lay this turtle down, and I'm going to use my flexible shaft in order to drill it. Now, this operates like a sewing machine or a car. There's a pedal on the floor that I press, and it will make the handpiece turn, and I can drill through this really quickly. So let me do that right now. Okay. Okay, so you can see I drilled a very small hole into the head of the turtle. Now, this would be called a pilot hole. A pilot hole meaning that it's basically a guide that helps me to drill straight. What I can do now is I could use a larger drill bit and increase the size of the hole so that the bale will fit through. Now I'm opening up the chuck of the flex shaft with a chuck key. Now, you don't need to have a fancy flexible shaft like this. You could use a Dremel tool or whatever drill you happen to have around. Just make sure that it's something that you're able to control, and you might want to find a drill that has a slower speed to it. Now, whenever you change the drill bit on your drill, what you want to do is just give it a little bit of gas and just take a look and make sure that that drill bit is still going straight. If it's wobbling like a potter's pot off center on the wheel, it could snap and it could hurt you. So just make sure it's straight. All right, so we're going to put the little turtle back on the block of wood and widen the hole now. Okay, see how fast that was? That was super easy. All right, we're almost done, believe it or not. What we're going to do now is we're going to bend the prongs up to receive the stone. And to do that, I'm just going to use a simple pair of square nose pliers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab at the base of the prong and then just simply bend it straight up. Just like that. So now it's doing a high kick. So I'm going to go all the way around. And what we really want to have happen is we want our little turtle to basically hug its shell. Okay. So now all the prongs are in an upright position. And before I put the stone in, what I want to do is I want to take a look at it. These stones have a good angle, just like us. They're better when they're seen from a specific angle. So you want to see how the light plays across. So I think this would be the best direction for the top of the piece. So all you do is just place your stone right into the mounting that you made. And now you can pick it up and just gently push over the prongs. Now, as a rule of thumb, you kind of want to work in an alternate direction. So if you do the bottom left like I did here, I may want to do the top right next. That way your stone will be centered in the mounting. Copper is really soft. I can actually push these over a little bit with my fingers before I actually push down with the pliers. Okay, there we are right there. Our stone is in its mounting. Let me just make an adjustment. And you can see how the copper kind of just disappears. Now, you don't want to make the prongs too large. That's called oversetting the stone. The trick is to try to have just enough so that the stone doesn't pop out and not so much that you notice the prongs. Now I'm going to put a bale in it. Now I'm going to use a jump ring. You can find jump rings at bead stores. You can create them on your own, and they're very, very simple to work with. I'm going to open up the jump ring. You never open up a jump ring like this. You always open it up like this. If you open it up in a broad direction, you can never get it back to being a circle. Alright, so now the jump ring is in place. There we go. Now that we've set the stone, I'm going to show you a really simple way to make it wearable. And what we're going to do is use a leather thong. You can get these almost anywhere. And this is the simplest necklace you'll ever make. What you want to do is slide the pendant onto your leather thong. Okay? Once you've done that, you're going to take one end of the thong and take the other and go around it and just pass through that loop once with a simple slip knot. Whoops. Easier said than done. Now you can clean these up later if you have loose ends or anything, but there's the loose end and the slip knot around it. Now what you do is you take this end and you want to go over to the other side of the leather thong, pass around it with a loop, and then make a simple slip knot over here. There. These two knots make this adjustable. So if I pull them apart, it makes the necklace shorter. If I pull them together, slide them together, it increases the length. So this will make it really easy to put over, oops, I have it backwards. This will make it really easy to put over a big hairdo. And then all you have to do is just slide the knots apart, and you can keep going as far as you want. You could even take them all the way to the front if you've got enough of a thong on it, and that would make your knots almost like part of the design. So there you go. And if that's a little too short for you, if you don't want to wear your pendant way up here, all you have to do is just separate those two knots, and you can put it at any height that you want to make it wearable. Have fun making this project. Thanks for watching. Check out our other videos and our products on the onlinejewelryacademy.com.